Welcome to Hey Clarity. I'm your host, Lindsay, and today we're doing a collective Akashic Records reading for the Gemini full moon. The questions that we're going to ask are, what is the overall energy of the Gemini full moon? How can we best navigate it? What's come to fruition since the corresponding new moon in Gemini on May 26th? What's being illuminated at this time? What are we releasing? And what's the most important message we need to know? Let's get into it. First question, what is the energy of the Gemini full moon? I'm seeing almost like something being punctured and air coming out, like pressure coming out, but it almost feels like taking a gasp, like a nice deep breath. Like something, there was pressure and a pinpoint in the pressure. It's like something was pinpointed, like poked through, like broken open, and then the pressure can be released now. So there's a little bit of like fresh air. It's around communicating. It's a little bit about like communicating with yourself, having realizations about like how you are communicating. Something about communication maybe being like foggy or confusing or complicated, like lots of complications in communication, like having like foggy thoughts or ideas, and suddenly it's like, oh no, like I feel more confident in my communication now. Like something feels easier, something feels much easier around communication and like having conversations. Whereas maybe we were tripping over our words or not finding the words or having way too many words, like we couldn't choose them very well for a while. And now it's like feeling better, feeling more comfortable and more confident in like speaking your truth, like based on your like instincts about something. It's like more unfaltering. It's like it's almost like what we thought our ideas and our words they were like repelling each other. They weren't really like they weren't like connecting. And now it's like now I can really speak my truth very clearly in conversation. And something about full conversation. Like if I need to have a full conversation about something that's important, I'm able to find my words much more easily, much easier. And not feeling so like emotionally imbalanced or drained or confused about those words. So conversations are much easier. How can we best navigate this energy? They're just saying use your words. Now that things come much more easily, now that you're not something about being backwards or backed up in communication. Things that may have felt like you were going backwards, now they're going forwards. There's something about even like our karmic cycles in conversation. So maybe having situations brought to our attention that seemed familiar. And then we're like, I've had this conversation before, or I've had this confrontation, or I've had this situation, a similar situation come up before. And how did I handle it before? How did I handle it many times before? And there are many different ways. And so they're like, this time, in choosing your words and having things be much easier to communicate, how might you be choosing to have those conversations or confrontations differently or not at all, right? Are you choosing your words, choosing the right words, or even are you choosing to just take space to breathe and not have conversation at all? Maybe you're choosing no words, where in the past your karmic cycle was that you would always felt like you had to explain something. You always felt like you had to give it up or give it all away. And now you're like, another option is not to say a thing. There are many levels, many forms of communication. And sometimes they're like silence, space to breathe is communication in itself. That's one way that we also communicate, is by being silent. Thinking things over, taking our time, taking our space until we can choose our words correctly. So there's something about conversations and like karmic cycles. So how to navigate it is like, it's much easier to have the conversations. So maybe be curious about the words that you're choosing now, or the silence that you're choosing now. So navigate it is just kind of like, have the self-awareness of how you're changing in your conversation and communication. How do you deal with confrontation? Are you checking in with your nervous system around the like severity of how having some of these conversations impact your body, your bodily system, your bodily functions? Like, they're just like, we get really impacted and caught up in overthinking our thoughts and ideas about things, about conversations, about communication and confrontation, and how does it impact you in a negative way or a positive way to speak or not speak. What's come to fruition for us since the corresponding new moon in Gemini on May 26th? Holding on to relationships, gripping them and letting them go. Gripping them and letting them go. And the way that they're showing, they're just like relationships, and they're showing a hand, like, how do we grip tightly? And then how does it feel when we let them go? We grip them and we let them go. And we grip them and we let them go. And there's something in the middle. We might be used to expressing our relationships in extremes of like holding on to or releasing. But then there's this like soft, gentle, like, clasping hands or holding hands, not gripping, like intertwining, interlacing our fingers. Like, there are other ways to like look at our relationships without the extremes of like attached or not attached. It's like, well, when we come together, are we like truly together? There's something about the middle, and like teasing through this middle of like, it's not non-attached or unattached, but it's not too attached either. It's like gently, lightly attached, connected, but this space to breathe, this giving ourselves space to breathe from each other, from our connections, and not like overdoing it on either end, on either extreme. So all of us like finding more balance in our relationships, like tending to ourselves and our nervous systems, and like, when do we want to be together and when do we want to take space? When do we feel overwhelmed in social situations, one-on-one or in large groups? So we've been really like navigating like our tendencies, our social system tendencies, they're calling it, our tendencies in social situations, our social systems, and our nervous systems, and how we're all kind of navigating the same thing of just like our capacity to like handle each other and like hold each other, handle each other, be in community, need some space, be in a collective, be independent, sovereign, interdependence, dependence, codependence, like just kind of paying attention to our grips on each other, or our like, do we have too loose of a thread or a cord to the people that we care about or know? And so there's a bit of a dance. We've been kind of like navigating this dance within our relationships. What's being illuminated for us? What's being illuminated for us under the Gemini full moon? Hopefulness. New people, old golden people. I love when they call like the golden oldies, or, golden people, like people from our past that are like really continue to be special to us. They call them like golden. Being illuminated is like, old connections, new connections, the golden connections, golden opportunities. This ease of like conversation where things just naturally flow and naturally blend and naturally combine, and opportunities are unfolding and overflowing because it's so natural, because we're more in alignment with each other. We're recognizing our like magnetic dynamics within each other when we're in alignment. It's like, oh my God, like, you're so multifaceted, like you're into all these different things, like me too. And like, there's just this, like, they're calling it like a magnetic operation. There's a lot of magnetizing happening right now because we're in alignment with ourselves. We've gotten better at knowing who we are. And so we're connecting with people who are also very dynamic, but like compatible in this magnetism, even if we're quite different, even if we're like opposite, they're kind of like, sometimes there's an opposites charge. And they're like two same is repelling, right? Same of a magnet, the same is repelling, or it does that little, like it slips past each other. Can't really, trying to make it, it doesn't really. And then like, there are other, charges, vibrations of us that just go like with such ease. There's something about the words same dynamics, but like different people, different values. I really like this because there's like a diverse energy to it of just like different people, different places, but like somehow it's just clicking. Like we're multi-dynamic and it's magnetic. Our differences are like growing and expanding us and supporting us and just kind of naturally like unfolding these golden opportunities. So they're like, let it happen. Like keep getting out there when you have the energy and the time and the space and you feel, resourced and you're ready to get out there and meet people, because, it's a very magnetizing time. What are we releasing? What are we letting go of? What are we releasing under this Gemini full moon? They're kind of like the bad relationships, like the ones that are really tiresome, the old stories, the old patterns, the old behaviors. Like we're really kind of sick of it. Like these connections are dwindling. And if you have, whether it's, longer, old past relationships or even new ones that feel like small and familiar, or like they're just impacting you in a way that's like, I guess I'm getting like negative charge, positive charge. Negative, repelling. Negative, positive, magnetizing. Okay. So it's kind of like the vibe is off. So like if you're looking at someone in a negative way and they're looking at you in a negative way, you're repelling. If you're looking at someone in a positive way and they're looking at you in a positive way, they're just like something about like what happens. But there's also something about when one of you is looking at someone positively and one of you is looking at one person's positive, one person's negative, that is also a magnet. The push-pull, this is stressful, this is anxiety producing when it's like one-sided, but it's still a magnet. Let's go deeper into this. Hold on. If two people are looking at each other negatively, it's like, just, right? Okay. But then there's something about how it can be magnetizing when it's like one is a positive and one is a negative. That can be a magnet, but it's an unhealthy, toxic relationship magnet. And then there's this other positive, and I don't know why they're calling it rare, but they're saying that like when two people are genuinely looking at each other positively, it's like up, 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 up. There's this like upward motion, upward spiral. Like you might not go like this. You might not magnetize and like stick to each other like this or become enmeshed or entangled in each other, which can tend to be unhealthy, these unhealthy bonds. But it's almost like the way that they don't like suck into each other like that, it just goes up, 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 up. Like there's like this excitement. So it's like they're encouraging us like to be looking at each other positively. Because we just kind of keep going higher and higher and higher. And sometimes it's on an unconscious level that you're looking at someone in a negative way. You know, sometimes it's kind of buried underneath. It's like, I'm getting jealousy, guilt, shame, deceit. Like you might be looking at someone, the judgments, the thoughts, the words in your mind, the things you don't say to the person, but the things that are like, buried under the surface. That seems to be more like what they're talking about. But when there's like genuine, authentic, positive, like, wow, they're amazing. Wow, they're amazing. Like, and they're talking, it goes up, 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 up. So we're having more of these connections. And it's like the negative ones are really burned. They're burnt out, and also they're burning you out. So it's almost like they're like dinging a bell. They're like ding, 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 ding. Okay? So like the relationships and the connections where you're burnt out and you're obsessing or you're overthinking or you're like possessive or whatever, any of the things that are burning you out, they're like alarms should be going off as to like, it's not that good for you. It kind of doesn't matter what you see or what is said. It's like a felt sense. It's sensations in the body. It could be completely unconscious. It's not your fault. It's not their fault. But there is something in the undercurrents that are just, they're kind of saying bad behaviors. Things like guilt and shame and jealousy and whatever stuff it's almost like behind the eyes, right? It's like when we talk to people, we're listening to them, and then sometimes we have like a dialogue in our mind where we're like catching things or we're judging them while they're talking. They're like that is the undercurrent that we're talking about. So like you can't fake this. Like you can't lie about this. Like this is not deceptive. This is like your true, authentic, this is your truth. What's behind your eyes? What are you thinking behind your eyes when someone's talking? And so we're releasing some of those relationships. Very interesting. It makes a lot of sense. Okay, what's the most important message we need to know about the Gemini full moon? Something's growing in our duality. Like I'm seeing a flower like blooming from the ground, like a single beautiful flower, very full flower. It's almost like a dahlia. So specific. But it's blooming in between a ground that is half black and half white. and there's a flower coming through the center. There's growth and expansion in our extremes, in our duality and what's black and white, what's right and wrong. We are really finding this middle ground. We are really coming to, there's a common threads in the in-between, in the middle ground, around our core values and who we are. They're saying like authentic, but they're calling it like multi-authentic, like multi-truths, like multi-dimensional, multi-dynamic. There's so much richness in between black and white. There's all this rich soil right in the middle. And like, they're like, this is where we are. And this is what we're realizing, is that there's so much growth and expansion right in between, or when, the differences meet. The diversity, the clash, the confrontation, like something really profound and juicy is happening there in that place. We're feeling, they're saying like multi-authentic. We're feeling just like way more human, way more compassionate and understanding of each other. They're like growing conversation. Like we're being responsible with our words. We're choosing them carefully. We're choosing silence when it's necessary. We're choosing to talk when it's necessary. We're also just open to hearing the other side. We're open to hearing each other. Hey, I'm kind of curious about this, perspective that you have, that maybe in the past I've been afraid. There's a lot of fear in conversation, like for the past year, 2, 5 years, 10 years. They're just like kind of going like however long it is for you, just like avoiding certain conversations and confrontations because we didn't feel, they're like you were under-resourced, or your nervous systems were too scattered. Our energy was too scattered. We were too on edge to have those conversations. But now we've calmed down a bit. We've looked at it a bit, and now we have more of a curiosity around growth and learning. And so we might be way more interested in different viewpoints. Hey, like, I know you believe that. Can you share a little bit more? Like, I'm just curious to hear, where it comes from, or how you came to that conclusion, or how you, came to that perspective. I'm just curious, and I'm just curious about you. I'm curious about your ideas. They're just like curious minds. Like, this is a very healthy place to be. It's unhealthy to be in a place of just like assuming and judgment and fear of each other versus like, hey, what do you think about this? Why do you think that? Just curious. Let's talk about it. Let's have a conversation about it. And they're like, they might be one-sided, but you get information. If someone, doesn't want to hear your side, they're kind of like, whatever, food for thought. But they're like, you can have some pretty healthy reciprocal conversations with people with different viewpoints. And like, I'm getting, there's a lot of aha moments on either side. So we're just being more open to conversations around stuff that we may have considered before confrontation. So it's like things are feeling less like a confrontation and more like a conversation, and easy conversation. Less fear, more interest, more curiosity, more like childlike wanting to learn. We want to be more informed. And they're saying like storytelling through like life experiences versus like being bombarded with opinions and ideas that are just force fed down our throats on like social media or the news. We're more curious about like the one-on-one, like in conversation, in community, information, like getting like the real world results, the real world information. How does this impact your life specifically? How does this impact my life specifically? And they're just like interested, curious, growth, expansion, change, evolution, humanity. And they're like, you're on the way, like you're on your way. Like we're on our way to good conversations and not really confrontations. And they're giving us like 2 thumbs up. Like this is how like humans are intelligent. When they have good conversation, good, healthy conversation, open-minded, just curious, just want to pick your brain, being open-minded, being curious, growth. Okay. Anything else? What's the most important message? They're just saying, have good conversations and no confrontations. Or like, try not to. If you feel like something's going to be a confrontation, it's probably going to cue you in your nervous system, and then maybe your choice is to choose silence, is to choose to not engage, to disengage with that person, that conversation. But I'm getting, if your nervous system feels like ready and open to chat, then cool. But if it doesn't, the alarms are going off, then space, take some space to breathe until maybe you do feel better. Okay. So that was the Akashic Records collective reading for the Gemini full moon. I hope you enjoyed that. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.